Some pain does not scream. It sits quietly, asking how long a heart can wait before it breaks. Hannah had learned how to be strong in silence, even when silence hurt the most. Night passed, but the ache stayed, unchanged by sleep or morning light. In a full house, Hannah often felt like the quietest presence of all. Others carried proof of blessing. Hannah carried only unanswered hope. In her world, a woman's worth was often measured by children, and Hannah felt time slipping past her. She wondered if God heard her at all, or if her prayers had grown too familiar to matter. She was loved, yet love could not reach the place where her longing lived. So Hannah withdrew, carrying her grief quietly, careful not to burden anyone with it. She did not ask for much, only to know whether her waiting meant anything at all. Each day asked Hannah to keep moving forward, even when her heart felt anchored to the same unanswered question. She lived inside familiar walls that carried many memories, yet none of them eased the weight she bore alone. Without a word spoken, Hannah was reminded again of what she could not give and how visible her absence felt. She wondered if her prayers had been heard once and forgotten, or if waiting itself was the answer. Elkanah's care was sincere, yet even kindness could not mend the longing that lived quietly inside her. Over time, Hannah learned to carry her sorrow quietly, folding it inward where no one else could see. Each journey toward worship stirred both hope and dread, reminding Hannah that prayer did not erase longing. She came not with confidence, but with honesty, carrying years of waiting toward a place she still trusted. Surrounded by worship, Hannah still felt alone, her heart heavy with prayers that had not yet been answered. Standing there, Hannah felt the familiar weight return, pressing harder as if demanding an answer at last. While others moved freely through worship, Hannah remained still, unsure where her grief truly belonged anymore. Silence pressed closer, filling the space where Hannah had once expected answers to finally arrive. Years of waiting gathered in her chest at once, each unanswered prayer settling heavily into her breath. When Hannah tried to speak, no sound came, only the weight of grief she could no longer shape. Her prayer continued without words, shaped only by tears that carried more truth than speech ever had. Observed but misunderstood, Hannah felt exposed in her most private moment of surrender. Being seen wrongly hurt almost as much as being unseen, deepening the ache she already carried. With effort, Hannah explained her sorrow, choosing honesty over defense in a moment of deep vulnerability. Though he did not know the outcome, Eli spoke peace, and Hannah received it with quiet trust. Nothing outside her changed, yet something within Hannah began to rest for the first time in years. Hannah left the place of prayer without answers, yet her heart felt lighter than it had in many years. Nothing around her had changed, but Hannah carried a calm she had not known before. For the first time in a long while, Hannah ate, no longer crushed beneath the weight of waiting. She returned home carrying no promise, only a quiet trust that God had truly listened. Days passed quietly, life continuing as it always had, without signs or sudden change. In time, God remembered Hannah, answering her prayer without noise, announcement, or display. The weight Hannah carried now was different, filled with gratitude and a responsibility she welcomed. Hannah remembered the promise she had spoken in pain, knowing this gift was never hers alone. She named him Samuel because God had heard what no one else ever could. This moment was not triumph, but peace, the kind that comes only from trusting God fully. As time passed, Hannah's joy grew alongside a quiet awareness that her gift would not remain with her. Joy did not erase Hannah's promise, it sharpened it, reminding her what faithfulness would soon require. Each careful stitch carried both love and resolve, shaping obedience long before the moment arrived. When Hannah spoke of her vow, she did so without fear, trusting obedience more than comfort. Elkanah did not resist her faith, honoring the God Hannah had learned to trust deeply. The road to Shiloh felt different now, carrying both fulfillment and the ache of what must be given back. Standing once more in the place of prayer, Hannah felt both gratitude and the cost of faith. Hannah placed Samuel into God's service, trusting the one who had first entrusted him to her. Letting go did not diminish Hannah's love. It revealed the depth of her trust in God. She walked away without regret, carrying peace that obedience alone could have placed in her heart. Samuel remained in the sanctuary, learning daily rhythms of service while Hannah carried his absence with faith. Though separated by distance, Hannah returned yearly, stitching love into small robes and quiet prayers. faithful. Each visit confirmed what Hannah trusted all along, that God was shaping futures beyond her sight patiently. As Samuel grew attentive and steady, Israel quietly prepared for leadership it did not yet recognize. Hannah's obedience outlived her sorrow, proving that faith can shape nations without applause, quietly enduring still. From Hannah's tears came a prophet, and through Samuel God guided a people through change with patience and care. Long before kings were chosen, God answered one woman's prayer in hidden faithfulness, patient time there. Hannah's story reminds the waiting heart that God's work often begins where no one claps, quietly first inside us. If you have waited unseen, Hannah's life whispers that God sees, remembers, and responds in gentle ways too. What feels delayed is not denied. Faithfulness can outlast sorrow and still heal identity within us completely all. Hannah no longer measured her life by what was missing, but by what God had steadily rebuilt within her. What once hurt to remember now rested gently, no longer sharp enough to define her days or her worth. Strength did not arrive loudly for Hannah. It formed slowly through trust, obedience, and unseen perseverance. While Hannah returned home, God continued shaping Samuel's calling, proving that faithfulness multiplies beyond sight. Though separated by distance, Hannah's trust kept her deeply connected to the purpose God was unfolding. Waiting no longer defined Hannah's faith. Trust had taken its place, steady and unafraid of time. Hannah's obedience outlived her tears, shaping a future far larger than the pain that birthed it. If your waiting feels invisible, Hannah's life reminds you that God's timing works deepest in silence. Human love may falter or change, but God's faithfulness remains steady through every season of life. God sees the overlooked, hears the unheard, and writes purpose through waiting hearts like Hannah's. Hannah no longer lived to be measured or compared. Her life had found its balance in trust. What once reminded her of loss now rested softly, no longer sharp enough to shape her identity. Distance no longer felt like separation. Hannah trusted that purpose was unfolding even beyond her reach. While Hannah lived quietly, God continued shaping Samuel's calling as he grew, proving faithfulness multiplies unseen. Her life spoke gently now, no longer shaped by longing but by steady faithfulness. If you are waiting in silence, Hannah's story reminds you that unseen faith still matters. Waiting did not disappear from Hannah's life. It simply lost its power to wound her. Human love may falter or change, but God's faithfulness remains steady through every season. Hannah was no longer defined by what she lacked, but by the God who had always seen her. God sees the overlooked, hears the unheard, and carries waiting hearts gently toward purpose. Thank you so much for watching the story of Hannah and sharing these quiet moments of faith and waiting with us. If this story touched your heart or revealed something new about God's faithfulness, please like and subscribe. We create biblically accurate stories that bring Scripture to life. Turn on notifications and share this with someone who needs hope. Remember this: you are seen, you are loved, and your story matters to God. Until next time, God bless.